Hello there. Please, come in. The door is open and I have been expecting you. Make yourself comfortable. There is absolutely no rush here today. Find your favorite spot, perhaps that soft, worn armchair by the window where the afternoon light comes in just right, warming the fabric, and let's settle down for a quiet, meaningful chat. I have just put the kettle on, and the water is just about to boil. There is something incredibly soothing about the ritual of tea, isn't there? The whistle of the kettle, the steam rising, the warmth spreading through the ceramic cup into your hands. It is a small comfort, a tiny pause in a busy world, but sometimes those small comforts are exactly what we need to ground ourselves. I am so genuinely glad you have decided to join me today. I want to speak to you not as an expert standing at a cold, distant lectern with a laser pointer, but as a friend sitting right across the kitchen table from you, sharing a pot of tea. We need to talk about something that I know weighs heavily on the hearts of so many of us as we navigate the richer, deeper years of our lives. It is a topic that is often brushed aside or misunderstood, yet it impacts the very color and vibrancy of our daily existence. It is that feeling of waking up in the morning, looking at the day ahead, and feeling a sense of heaviness before you have even pulled back the covers. You know the feeling I mean, don't you? It is not just the need for a nap. It is something different. It is a bone-deep weariness. It is the feeling that your internal battery, which used to recharge fully after a good night's sleep, is now only charging to 40 or 50%, no matter how long you stay in bed. It feels as though gravity has turned up its dial just for you, making every step feel a little harder, every stair a little steeper. Many of us have accepted this fatigue as a natural, inevitable companion of getting older. We tell ourselves, well, I suppose this is just what happens when we have a few more candles on the cake. We sigh, we adjust our expectations, and we slow down, often more than we truly want to. We start saying no to invitations we used to say yes to, simply because we don't trust our energy to last the evening. But what if I told you that this heaviness isn't necessarily about the number of years you have lived? What if this fatigue is not a life sentence, but a signal? It is a simple, quiet request from your body that we haven't quite understood yet. It is your body whispering, I can still run this engine beautifully. I just need the right spark. Today, we're going to explore that spark together.
We are going to look at why the spring in your step may have faded, and more importantly, how we can gently, naturally, and joyfully invite it back. So take a deep breath, let your shoulders drop away from your ears, unclench your jaw, and know that you are in exactly the right place. You are safe here, and we are going to figure this out together. Now, you might be wondering what this spark is. We often hear about so many different supplements, trends, and complex theories in the news that it can become quite dizzying. One week it is one thing, the next week it is another. But today, I want to introduce you to, or perhaps reintroduce you to, an old friend of our biology. It is a nutrient that acts as the very ignition switch for our energy. In the scientific world, they call it cobalamin, but you and I know it simply as vitamin B12. However, simply naming the vitamin is not the secret. If it were that simple, we could all just pop a tablet from the supermarket shelf and feel 20 years younger instantly. No, the fascinating secret we will explore today is a bit deeper, a bit more nuanced than that. You might be thinking, but I eat well. I enjoy my food. Surely I have enough. And this is where the mystery lies. You see, it is not just about what you put onto your fork. It's about how your body welcomes this nutrient. It is about the hospitality your body offers to the food you eat. Imagine your body is a beautiful, historic house. You can have a delivery of the finest coal or seasoned oak wood waiting on the doorstep to warm the hearth, but if the front door is stuck or if the hallway is blocked, that fuel stays outside. The house remains cold even though the fuel is sitting right there. There is a specific gatekeeper in our digestion, a mechanism that changes quite significantly as we mature, that determines whether this energy enters your system or simply passes through. By the end of our chat today, you will know exactly how to oil the hinges of that door and open the gate wide to let the warmth in. Before we go any further into the mechanics of this, I would love to hear from you, because we are building a community of friends here, not just a passive audience. Do you ever feel like you've had a full 8 hours of sleep, yet you still wake up feeling as though your battery is empty? Or perhaps you have that afternoon slump that hits you like a wave at 3 p.m. Please do let me know in the comments below. Write, "I'm ready for energy," if you are tired of being tired. It's always a relief to see that we are not alone in these feelings, and reading your stories helps me understand exactly what you are going through. We are all in this together, supporting one another.
To help us understand this better, I want to share a little story about a dear neighbor of mine. Let's call him Uncle Arthur. Arthur was a man who lived for his garden. He had the most magnificent roses you have ever seen, great blooming things that smelled of summer and nostalgia. He had climbers, shrubs, and tea roses in every shade of pink and red. For years, Arthur was out there every morning at dawn, pruning, watering, and talking to his plants. But slowly, over a few autumns, I noticed Arthur wasn't in the garden as much. The weeds started to creep in at the edges of his flower beds. The vibrant colours began to fade under the grey of neglect. He started spending more time sitting on his porch, just watching the garden from a distance. When I stopped by to ask him about it, he gave a little shrug, a sad smile playing on his lips, and said, "Oh, I'm just slowing down, you know. My legs feel like lead, and my mind feels a bit like a foggy morning in November. I suppose the garden is too much for an old man." He truly believed that his gardening days were over simply because of his age. He thought he was broken. He thought his time had passed. But the truth was, Arthur wasn't broken at all. His internal soil was simply depleted of a specific nutrient. He didn't need a new body, he just needed to give his current one the right tools to bloom again. Once Arthur understood what I am about to share with you, the very things we will discuss today, and he made a few gentle adjustments to his daily routine, the change wasn't overnight. Nature never rushes, and neither should we. But the change was profound. The fog lifted. The heaviness in his legs lightened. He didn't suddenly run a marathon, of course, but he did go back to tending his roses. He reclaimed his joy. And that is what we want, isn't it? We don't need to turn back time to be 20 again. We just want the vitality to enjoy the things we love today. We want to be participants in our lives, not just spectators. So, let us try to visualize what is happening inside us. I find that when we can see a picture in our minds, it is much easier to understand than dry medical terms. I don't want to talk about anemia or neurology today in a way that feels clinical. Instead, I want you to think of your body as a bustling, happy home. In this home, your nerves are the electrical wiring that runs through the walls. This wiring powers everything: the lights in the hallway, the refrigerator in the kitchen, the heater in the bedroom. It carries the signals from your brain to your toes, telling them to move, to feel, to balance. Now, copper wire cannot just be left exposed. It needs protection. Vitamin B12 acts as the protective insulation, the rubber coating around those copper wires. It is called the myelin sheath, but think of it as the sturdy rubber casing that keeps the electricity flowing straight and true. When we have plenty of B12, that insulation is thick, secure, and robust. The electricity flows smoothly, the signals are fast, and the lights in your house burn bright and steady. But when our levels drop, that insulation can begin to fray. It wears thin. The result? The electricity starts to leak. The lights in the house might flicker. You might experience this as a tingling in your hands or feet, a sensation of pins and needles that comes and goes, or perhaps a moment where your memory feels like a light bulb that just won't switch on, where you walk into a room and forget why you were there. That is not dementia setting in. Often it is just the wiring needing a bit of repair. There is another beautiful metaphor for this, one that explains why you feel so out of breath. Think of your red blood cells not as biological discs, but as little red delivery vans. Their job, day and night, is to drive through the highways of your arteries and the narrow country lanes of your capillaries, delivering fresh oxygen, fresh air to every room in your house. Vitamin B12 is the factory manager that ensures these vans are built to the perfect size. When we lack this vitamin, the factory gets confused. It starts building delivery vans that are too big and clumsy. In medicine, they call this macrocytic, which just means large cell. These oversized vans, though they look impressive, are a problem. They cannot navigate the tiny, narrow country lanes to get to the furthest rooms of your house. They get stuck in traffic. So your extremities get cold. Your muscles don't get the fresh air they need to work. That is the fatigue. It is not that you are lazy, it is simply that the delivery vans are stuck in traffic because they are too wide for the road. Your heart has to beat faster to try and push them through, which is why you might feel palpitations or breathlessness even after light activity. Now, we must address the overlooked detail, the piece of the puzzle that is so often missed by well-meaning advice. We need to talk about the welcoming committee in your stomach. This is where the story gets truly interesting. You see, vitamin B12 is a bit of a shy nutrient. It is bound tightly to the proteins in the food we eat. It doesn't just let go easily. To unlock it, your stomach needs to be acidic. I know. We've spent years being told that stomach acid is a bad thing. We see commercials for antacids, for cooling mints, telling us to suppress acid at all costs. But in this context, think of your stomach acid not as something harsh, but as a necessary welcoming committee.
This acid is required to separate the B12 from your food so it can be absorbed. Without that acid, the B12 remains locked away in the food, and it passes right through you, never entering your bloodstream. Here is the natural shift that happens. As we mature into our wonderful later years, our stomach environment naturally becomes gentler. The acid levels drop. The welcoming committee becomes a bit quieter, perhaps a bit sleepy. This is a condition called atrophic gastritis, but let's just call it a quiet stomach. So even if you are eating a steak or an egg, the B12 knocks on the door, but the committee is too quiet to hear it, and the door remains closed. This is why you can eat a perfect diet and still be deficient. It is often not a lack of food, but a lack of that acidic welcome. Furthermore, there is a special agent in the stomach called intrinsic factor. It sounds like a spy novel, doesn't it? Intrinsic factor is a protein produced by your stomach lining. Its sole job is to find vitamin B12, hold its hand, and escort it safely through the digestive tract to be absorbed into the blood. As we age, we produce less of this intrinsic factor. Without this escort, B12 gets lost in the crowd and never makes it home. So how do we support this delicate process? How do we wake up the committee and hire more escorts? First, we must gently show the door to the silent thieves. I'm talking about excessive sugar and those highly processed white grains, the pastries, the white bread, the sugary cereals. You see, these foods act like a sticky fog in our internal home. They promote inflammation, which can damage the stomach lining even further. They don't just sit there. They demand a tremendous amount of your body's energy to be cleared away, leaving very little fuel for you. They crowd out the good guests. They give you a quick spike of energy, like a flare, but then it burns out, leaving you in the dark. Instead, let's invite the body's favorites to the table. We need to focus on foods that are dense in B12 and easy for the body to process. We have eggs, truly golden parcels of clean energy. The yolk is where the magic happens. We have fish, especially salmon and sardines, which provide the smooth flow of the river for our veins. Red meat, in moderation, is a powerhouse. And for those who prefer plant-based options, nutritional yeast is a wonderful, cheesy-tasting friend that is packed with vitality. You can sprinkle it on popcorn, on soups, or on toast. It is a simple addition that makes a world of difference. But knowing what to eat is only half the story. If the door is stuck, the food doesn't matter. Here is the complete golden protocol I promised you, the secret to making it all work. It begins before you even take a bite.
I invite you to start your morning with a warm glass of water and a squeeze of lemon or a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Why? Because this simple ritual wakes up that welcoming committee in your stomach. The slight acidity mimics your natural stomach acid, signaling to the body, wake up, food is coming, get the enzymes ready. It primes the pump. It is such a small thing, but it sets the tone for the entire day. Once the committee is ready, we use the power of synergy. You see, nutrients are like people. They work better in teams. Vitamin B12 hates to travel alone. It loves to dance with a partner called folate, vitamin B9. One cannot perform the tango without the other. If you have B12 but no folate, the red blood cell still cannot form properly. So when you have your eggs, rich in B12, try adding a side of spinach or perhaps some avocado, rich in folate. When you have your salmon, serve it with asparagus or broccoli. This combination helps your body create those healthy, efficient delivery vans we talked about. And remember, digestion begins in the mouth. In our modern world, we eat so fast. We inhale our food while watching the news or looking at our phones. But your stomach has no teeth. If you swallow huge chunks of food, your stomach has to work overtime to break them down, and often it can't extract the B12 effectively. Slow down. Put your fork down between bites. Truly savor your food. Chewing is the doorbell that tells your body, get ready, energy is arriving. It allows the enzymes in your saliva to start the work before the food even reaches your stomach. I am curious, and I would love for you to share this with me. What is your favorite way to eat eggs? Do you prefer them poached, the yolk running like liquid gold over a slice of toast? Or perhaps scrambled soft with a bit of butter and chives? Or maybe a nice sturdy omelette with those greens we talked about? Share your recipes with us in the comments. I'm always looking for new inspiration for my breakfast, and I bet other viewers are too. Your idea might just be the breakfast that changes someone else's day. I must also briefly mention the sunshine vitamin, vitamin D. Just as a garden needs good soil, which is our B12, it also needs sunlight to bloom. These two vitamins often work in tandem to support your immune system and your energy levels. If you are feeling low in energy, it is worth remembering that we are essentially like houseplants with more complicated emotions. We need the light. A gentle 15-minute walk in the morning light does wonders. It resets your circadian rhythm, helping you sleep better at night, which in turn helps your body repair itself. If you can't get out, opening a window and sitting in the fresh air is a wonderful start.
Now, a very important note before we continue. We've talked about food and lifestyle, but sometimes, if levels are very low, or if the gatekeeper in the stomach is completely on strike, as happens with conditions like pernicious anemia, food alone might not be enough. In those cases, supplements are not a failure, they are a bridge, but not all bridges are built the same. If you look at a label, you might see cyanocobalamin or methylcobalamin. The first one is synthetic and a bit harder for the body to use. The second, methylcobalamin, is the natural form. It is already active, ready to go to work immediately. It's like giving a worker his tools as soon as he arrives, rather than making him find them himself. Of course, what we are describing here is nutritional advice. It's a lifestyle approach to wellness. It does not replace the treatment given by your doctor. It supports it. If you are feeling profound fatigue or that tingling in your hands is persistent, please do speak with your healthcare provider. A simple blood test can tell you exactly where your B12 levels are. We want to work with your medical team, empowering you with knowledge so you can ask the right questions. We are building a team around you, your doctor, your nutrition, and your daily habits. So how do we put this all together into a day that feels easy and joyful? We're not looking to overhaul your entire life overnight. That is a recipe for stress, and stress is the enemy of absorption. We're simply transforming habits one small step at a time. Adopt the mindset that we are not treating a disease or fighting a battle. We're simply inviting energy back into our home. We're clearing the clutter, opening the windows, and letting the fresh air in. Start tomorrow. When you wake up, have that lemon water. Look at the morning sky. Chew your breakfast slowly. Maybe add a handful of spinach to your plate. And then, wait. Be patient with yourself. If you've been running on empty for years, it may take a few weeks to feel the full effect. The body needs time to repair the insulation on the wires and build new delivery vans. As the old saying goes, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Trust the process. Trust your body. It wants to heal. It just needs you to provide the materials. We've covered quite a bit of ground today, haven't we? We've traveled from the armchair to the garden, from the electrical wiring of the house to the delivery vans on the road. We've learned that the fatigue you feel isn't just old age weighing you down. It's often a lack of the spark, the vitamin B12, and a need to help our body's reception or absorption of that spark.
We have learned about the welcoming committee in the stomach and how to wake it up with simple natural acids. We have learned that we can take control of our vitality with the food we choose and the way we eat it. It has been such a genuine pleasure to sit here with you. I hope the tea was to your liking. I hope you feel a little lighter, a little more hopeful, and ready to try these simple changes. You know, getting older is a privilege. It brings wisdom, it brings memories, and it brings a depth of feeling that youth simply cannot understand. But we want the energy to enjoy that privilege. We want to be awake for it. If you enjoyed this chat and found it helpful, do share it with a friend or a family member who might need a little lift. We all have someone in our lives who is feeling a bit tired, a bit worn down, and perhaps this is just the message they need to hear. Maybe send it to your own Uncle Arthur or Auntie Rose. Let's help each other bloom. Let's create a garden of vibrant, energetic friends who support one another. And before you go, please check the comments section. I will be down there reading your stories, your recipes, and your experiences. It is my favorite part of the day. If you are looking for more ways to support your energy, you might want to check out our other great video about why you feel tired all the time. It's not age, it's this vitamin deficiency. It goes hand in hand with what we discussed today. But for now, remember to take care of yourself, because you are worth taking care of. You are the gardener of your own body, and with a little care, you can bloom in any season. Until next time, goodbye for now.